The Shadow of Pine and Grime. Chapter 1. A Sad Past. The humid air of rural Alabama hung thick and heavy, a constant, smothering blanket. Jedidiah Stokes, 43 years old and built like a sturdy oak, his broad frame filling out the faded black t-shirt, wiped a bead of sweat from beneath the rim of his spectacles. His full, dark beard, neatly trimmed yet rugged, couldn't hide the tension etched around his mouth. The man in the picture was Jed, the years having sanded down the boy's sharp edges, replacing them with a quiet, watchful heft. He sat now on his front porch swing, the chain creaking a slow, mournful tune that was as much a part of the southern soundtrack as the cicadas' rasp. He was watching a storm brew over the line of pines that bordered his property, a storm that was little match for the one that had brewed inside him since he was 7. Jed's life didn't begin with a whimper, but with a slammed screen door and the roar of a truck engine fading down a dusty road. His father, the charming, irresponsible man who'd won his mother's heart, had simply left. And his mother? She followed suit a few weeks later, a hurried note left on the kitchen table explaining she wasn't cut out for motherhood and needed to find herself. Jed was abandoned in the truest, cruelest sense of the word. Because blood, Jed quickly learned, was not a bond, it was a debt. The only person who would take him in was his mother's older sister, Aunt Maeve. Maeve had always been the austere one, a woman of deep, unforgiving faith and sharper-than-needed critiques. But the true poison in the well of their relationship was revealed one terrible evening. Maeve had been briefly, disastrously married to Jed's father. His mother hadn't just run off with a man. She'd run off with her sister's husband. The man Jed's mother eventually bore him. Jed was living, breathing proof of a betrayal that had shattered Maeve's world. To her, Jed was not a nephew, but a small, infuriating effigy of the man who had cheated on her and the sister who had ruined her life. She was legally forced to take him in, a duty she performed with a relentless, cold malice that was far worse than any simple neglect. The abuse wasn't often physical. It was a constant, soul-crushing barrage of criticism, deprivation, and the chilling truth that he was unwanted. "You got your daddy's eyes," she'd hiss, "and a liar's heart." Jed didn't belong in the small, oppressive house. He belonged to the woods. The moment the school bus dropped him off, he shed the identity of the boy Aunt Maeve hated and became a ghost in the pine forests and creek bottoms. The nearby wilderness, vast and indifferent, offered him the only true refuge he'd ever known. He started with scraps of knowledge, an old Boy Scout book his father had left behind, a hunting guide from the general store, and quickly developed a terrifying, innate competence. He learned to trap rabbit and squirrel, to fish with a length of line and a bent safety pin, and to bushcraft a lean-to so effective it kept him drier than the leaks in Maeve's roof. He didn't just visit the woods. He began to live there. The taste of smoked meat he'd cured himself, the warmth of a fire he'd coaxed to life with a hand drill, and the silence that wasn't laden with his aunt's judgment were his only comforts. While other boys were playing baseball, Jed was tracking deer, learning the silent, ancient language of the forest floor. He was thin, resourceful, and always carrying a knife. He ate what he killed, drank what he filtered, and by the age of 16, he had spent more nights under the canopy of stars than under a roof. The woods weren't a hobby. They were his surrogate parent, providing food, shelter, and most importantly, an escape. It was in those woods that Jed found the only thing that had ever truly belonged to him: competence. He knew how to survive, and that knowledge was a shield against the pain of his abandonment. The storm over the pines broke, a sudden, violent deluge of rain. Jed pulled his glasses off, cleaning the lenses on his t-shirt, his blue eyes distant. The years had passed, but the woods still called. They were still the only place where Jed Stokes ever felt completely at home. The storm was no longer a spectacle on the horizon. It was a cold, wet reality. The large, heavy drops of the Alabama deluge hammered the tin roof of the porch and splashed against the wooden planks as Jed pushed himself off the swing. The slow, rhythmic creak of the chains died out behind him, replaced by the rising roar of the downpour. He didn't grab a coat, didn't bother with an umbrella. The rain felt appropriate, a cleansing, or maybe just a mirror for the miserable churn inside him. He crossed the yard, his boots already sinking into the mud, and pushed through the curtain of wet foliage at the boundary line. The woods, his oldest friend, swallowed him whole. Jed walked aimlessly, the years of hard-won tracking skill abandoned. He was a man lost not in the wilderness, but in the landscape of his own despair. The sodden smell of pine needles, wet earth, and decaying leaves usually brought him comfort, but today it just felt heavy. Why was he born into this evil and vile world? The thought wasn't new, but today it carried a terrifying conviction. He'd survived Maeve's bitter cruelty, he'd survived the deep, cold ache of his parents' desertion, and he'd survived years of lonely self-sufficiency. But survival wasn't the same as living. He looked around and saw the world through a lens of profound isolation. He had no one, no kin, no confidants, no one who knew the map of his life's pain. He was functionally illiterate in the language of human connection. Why couldn't he talk to other people like everyone else? Why did he always feel like a stray dog, eyes darting, ready to bolt, never daring to truly settle? Every community he tried to enter, every job he'd try to hold, ended the same way. With him retreating to the silence, deciding he didn't fit, and convincing himself that the whole business of friendship and family was a lie built for soft people. He had lost all faith in humanity, and in a bleak moment of self-honesty, he realized he had lost faith in his own future, too. The downpour intensified, the wind whipping the upper branches into a frenzy. Jed finally stopped at the base of a massive southern live oak, an ancient giant whose lowest limbs were thicker than most trees. The dense, sprawling canopy offered a pocket of relative dryness. He sank down onto the pile of slick, dark soil and coarse bark, leaning his broad back against the trunk. The sound of the rain on the leaves was deafening, isolating. He pulled his glasses off, placing them carefully in his wet jeans pocket, and let the blurry, dark world wash over him. Closing his eyes, he let the weight of 43 years settle. He was tired, not physically, but in his bones, in his soul. He didn't pray. He hadn't spoken to any god in decades. Instead, he made a wish, a quiet plea whispered not to the heavens, but to the indifferent, enduring earth beneath him. I wish I could start over and live a better life than the one I've been living. He imagined a place far away, a vast, quiet space where his past held no power, where he wouldn't be Jed Stokes, the abandoned nephew, the man who couldn't connect. He wished for peace, for a life that was simple and new. He held the thought of it, a clean slate, a distant horizon, tightly as he drifted into the wet, echoing dark. Chapter 2, A Wish at the Roots. The heavy rain had stopped. A sudden, profound stillness had fallen over the woods, the silence broken only by the drip of water from the leaves. Jed opened his eyes, feeling the damp, rough bark of the live oak against his back, but the familiar ache of his despair was gone, replaced by a strange, hazy grogginess. Then he heard it, a sound that was utterly foreign to his lonely existence. William. It was a young girl's voice, clear as a bell, cutting through the post-storm quiet. Why is there a young girl this deep in the woods? Is she lost? The woods were no place for a child alone. The instinct to survive and protect, a deeply ingrained part of his nature, kicked in. He started to sit up, ready to offer help. William, wake up, sleepyhead. The voice was suddenly right beside him, chirping directly into his ear. Jed shot upright, bumping his head on a low-hanging branch. He stared at the girl, who was no older than 9, with bright, impatient eyes and a spray of freckles across her nose. What are you doing? Jed asked, the voice that came out of him sounding strangely high-pitched and unfamiliar. Come to get you for dinner, the girl said, hands on her hips. Mom said to hurry before it gets cold. Mom? Jed's brow furrowed. He instinctively reached to the bridge of his nose for his glasses, but his fingers met only damp skin. Crap, did I lose my glasses? I won't be able to see without them. But as the initial shock subsided, a more baffling realization dawned. He could see. In fact, the world was snapping into perfect, razor-sharp focus, crisper and clearer than it had ever been, even with his old prescription lenses. He could count the individual moss spores on the bark of the tree. He began to look around, his sense of confusion deepening. The forest was dense, but something was wrong. The shape of the undergrowth, the quality of the light, the species of the ferns, it wasn't Alabama. It wasn't home. The only familiar thing was the enormous, ancient live oak he'd been leaning against. Jed pushed himself to his feet. His perspective shifted. The world seemed taller, the massive tree trunk looming far above him. He looked down and gasped. His broad, muscular frame was gone. His black t-shirt was now a loose, gray tunic on a much smaller body. His hands were small, soft, and uncalloused, the hands of a boy. He was no longer the middle-aged Jedidiah Stokes. He was a small, slim boy, maybe 8 years old, wearing simple, sturdy clothes. What on earth is going on? Hurry up, William, the girl commanded, starting to walk toward the tree line. Jed, now reeling with panic and disbelief, could only follow. He looked back one last time at the giant tree, the anchor in a terrifying storm of change. This has to be a dream, he thought, as he stepped out of the woods. The sight that greeted him stole his breath and froze his inner turmoil. They stood on the edge of a vast, sweeping green field. To his left, the field stretched toward a line of majestic, snow-capped mountains that pierced the cloud layer. Behind him was the dense, dark forest he had just stumbled out of. And right in the middle of this impossible landscape was a village, not a southern hamlet, but a scattering of perhaps 25 simple, wooden houses built with an unfamiliar, sturdy craftsmanship. A clean, fast-moving river flowed down from the mountains through the center of the green pasture and disappeared into the woods, the lifeblood of the settlement. The air was clean and cold, smelling of pine, snowmelt, and wood smoke, utterly unlike the suffocating humidity of his past life. It was a sight of astonishing, pristine peace. "Come on, William," the girl said again, her soft, little hand closing around his. "Mom will get mad at us if we don't hurry." This simple touch, the sound of the word mom, jolted him. He was a boy named William. He was expected, and this girl was leading him into a new life, the life he had wished for. His old life, his old body, and his old pain had been stripped away. The past was gone. The wish had been granted. Chapter 3: Warmth and Wonder. As they approached one of the village houses, a woman emerged, her bright green eyes scanning the scene with an almost frantic energy. She was tall and slender, her long, silver hair pulled back with a brown cloth, and she wore a plain, long brown dress. She locked eyes with Jed and the girl. "Hurry up, Sarah. You and your brother wash up. The food is getting cold." Her voice was warm, yet firm, carrying the faint accent of this unknown land. Jed, still reeling from the shock of his transformation, could only try to absorb the flood of new information. Sarah, his twin sister, pulled him along, and they stepped inside the simple, sturdy house. The interior was humble, but radiating a pervasive warmth. To their left, a sturdy dining table with 4 chairs was set, 3 wooden bowls and spoons already in place. Shelves lined the wall, holding dried leaves, herbs, perhaps, and what looked like cured meat. A large fireplace dominated one wall, a pot simmering over the flames, and a neat pile of dry wood stacked beside it. To the right, a doorway led to a small room with a single straw bed, large enough for 2. Next to it, another similar room, clearly a children's space, held a bed, a small chest at the foot, and a little table in the corner with a toy doll and a wooden horse. This was undoubtedly William's room and Sarah's. The mingled sense of wood smoke and the simmering, meaty stew filled the air. It was small, but it felt secure, cozy, and utterly unlike the desolate house he'd grown up in. "Smells nice in here," Jed murmured, still looking around. Sarah tugged at his tunic. "Are you okay?" she asked, her brow furrowed. "You've been acting weird since you woke up." "What do you mean by that?" Jed asked, trying to sound casual. I don't know. You just seem different. She tilted her head. Do I look different? Well, no. This morning we couldn't get you to shut up, and now you're barely speaking, looking around like you're lost and never seen me or Mom before. How can you not know your twin sister? Twin sister. Jed's mind spun. This was a lot to take in. Of course, I know my cute twin sister, he said, trying his best to play along, forcing a smile. See, Mom, I told you he's different, Sarah exclaimed, turning to their mother, who had followed them in. Their mother smiled, her green eyes crinkling at the corners. Now, kids, come and eat, and leave your brother alone, Sarah. He just woke up. They walked over to the table and sat down. Their mother, whose name Jed now knew was Samantha, scooped out generous portions of the stew into their wooden bowls. What kind of meat is this? Jed asked, genuinely curious. Horned rabbit meat, Samantha replied, her eyes briefly meeting his. Jed took a bite. The meat was tender, flavorful, but certainly bland by his old-world standards. Tastes like regular rabbit to me, Jed thought, though he managed a polite nod. It's good, but kind of bland without any seasonings. What are you going to do for the rest of the day, William? Sarah asked, ever curious. I'm not really sure, Jed admitted. Is there anything that needs to be done around here? See, Mom, more proof, Sarah cried, already halfway through her stew. Shut up, Sarah. I told you to stop teasing your brother, Samantha warned, though a hint of amusement played on her lips. It's okay, Jed said, surprising himself with the ease of the words. She's still just a kid. We are the same age, you jerk, Sarah yelled, playfully kicking him under the table. Jed couldn't help but smile, a genuine, unburdened smile that felt utterly foreign. Is this what a real family feels like? A pang of bittersweet emotion hit him. Is God giving me a taste of what a family is before I die? I find that cruel to show me what I never had, only to take it away from me. His face fell, the brief joy extinguished by the familiar shadow of loss. Samantha noticed immediately. What's wrong, William? Oh, it's nothing, Mom. I was just thinking. He quickly changed the subject. Do you need help with anything? You could bring in some more firewood, she suggested, gesturing vaguely towards the door. Okay, Jed said, relieved for a task. He stood up, the small, light feeling of his new body still alien. As he walked out the front door, a large figure was approaching the house. The man was tall and wide, with long black hair, a big, bushy beard, and a prominent scar over his right eye that looked like a claw mark from a bear. He carried a large brown sack over his shoulder, its contents unknown. Is Samantha home? The man boomed, his voice echoing in the crisp air. Jed paused, taken aback by the sudden loud voice, and stared. Is your mother home, boy? The man asked again, his large, scarred face softening slightly as he drew closer. Yeah, she's inside, Jed managed to say. The man reached them, his large hand coming to rest gently on top of Jed's head. You feeling all right today? Seems like that's the question today, Jed replied, a hint of his old cynicism slipping out. Oh, really? The man chuckled, a deep rumble. If you need anything, you can come to me. He gave Jed's head a final pat, then knocked on the door and stepped inside. Jed watched him go, then remembered his task. He walked around the side of the house, his new senses quickly picking up the scent of freshly split wood. Found it, he muttered. A moderate pile of firewood was stacked neatly against the wall, an axe leaning beside it. The fresh, resinous smell of pine filled his nostrils. Well, guess I'll get to work. This was a task he understood, a physical act of purpose that grounded him, even in this surreal new existence. Chapter 4, A Promise to a Soul. Jed grabbed the axe. His former, muscle body would have dispatched the woodpile in minutes, but the small, skinny frame of an 8-year-old made the work a struggle of leverage and precision, requiring all of his old woodsman's technique just to get the axe head to bite true. Man, this is foreign, he muttered, sweat plastering his hair to his forehead. He applied himself with grim determination, finding a deep, satisfying rhythm to the work, fueled by the familiar smell of pine. He worked until the last remaining logs were split, the sun starting to dip below the distant, jagged mountains. He stacked the newly split, wood neatly into the existing piles. Finished, he picked up a few pieces and walked inside. The open doorway offered no protection from the evening chill, but the interior of the house was warm and inviting. He stacked the wood beside the fireplace. "Is this enough wood?" Jed asked, breathless. "Yes," Samantha replied, turning from the cooking pot with a genuine, gentle smile. "You did a good job, William. You remind me of your father." "Oh, really? What part?" Jed asked, a strange mix of curiosity and dread swirling inside him. "Well, mostly today, your mature tone and willingness to help around the house. Your father was like that a lot." Jed's smile slowly faded as he saw the brief flicker of pain in her bright green eyes. He felt a sudden, fierce protectiveness over this woman who was not his mother, yet treated him with such tenderness. "It's okay, Mom," Jed said softly, using the word easily now. "Do you miss him?" "Very much, William," she said, her voice dropping to a near whisper. "You may take your looks after me, but I think you got your heart from your father." Just then, a loud knock echoed through the house. Jed walked over and opened the door. The big man, Leo, stood in the doorway, and next to him was Sarah. "I brought her home, Samantha." "Thanks, Leo. Do you want to stay for dinner?" "I would, but the wife would kill me if I didn't get back in time." "Okay, thanks for walking Sarah home." "Thanks, for walking me, Uncle," Sarah chirped. "Anytime, kid." Leo smiled warmly at Jed, a friendly warmth that reached his eyes despite the scar. "Have a good night." Jed shut the door and turned to the table, where Sarah was already sitting, watching as Samantha filled the wooden bowls with the savory stew. Jed smiled, looking at the entire scene, the warm light, the good food, the gentle bickering of his twin sister, and the loving presence of his mother. Is this what a real family feels like? "Are you coming, William?" Sarah asked impatiently. "Yeah, I'll be right there," Jed said. After dinner, they washed up. Jed was exhausted from the day's physical labor and the emotional turmoil of his transformation. He and Sarah laid down in the single straw bed. Sarah was soon snoring softly. Jed lay staring at the ceiling, the moonlight casting long, pale streaks across the room. "I really wish I could live this life, but I don't want to take it away from William." The thought was heavy and selfless. "If anything, I had a great day living your life, William. Thank you." With that final, complex thought, a strange blend of gratitude and guilt, Jed drifted off to sleep. Jed's eyes snapped open. He was back at the base of the massive live oak, but the atmosphere was profoundly different. There was no wind, no rain, and no sound, just a heavy, pregnant silence. Then, a sound broke the stillness. A majestic, almost angelic voice singing a melody he'd never heard. Driven by curiosity, Jed followed the sound, walking around the giant tree. Víðarr, the forest guardian. There, sitting amid a patch of flowers, was a creature of myth. It stood up as Jed approached, towering over his small, boyish frame. The creature, a guardian of the forest, was a mesmerizing blend of human and animal. Her lower half was that of a slender, spotted deer, ending in delicate hooves. Her upper half was fair-skinned and humanoid, topped with small antlers sprouting from her head and long, reddish-orange hair woven into braids. She wore an outfit of green leaves and natural fabrics, adorned with a blue butterfly ornament, and held a wooden staff topped with a glowing crystal. The creature's deer-like ears twitched as she regarded him. "Welcome, Jed, or should I now say William?" "What's going on?" Jed asked, his disbelief evident. "I was granting your wish," she said, her voice like wind chimes. "I go by many names, but you can call me Víðarr the Forest Guardian. You wished for a new life, and I granted it. But what about William? This is his family, not mine." Víðarr's expression softened. "Actually, William died," she explained gently. "William never made it home that day. Sarah never would have found him. He was killed by a monster in these woods." Jed's head dropped, the devastating realization of what he had taken replacing his bewilderment. "Do you know what his final wish was?" Víðarr continued. "It was for someone to take care of his mother and sister." So when I heard your wish for a new life and William's wish for someone to take care of his family, I decided to grant both. At that moment, a second figure walked around the tree, a slender boy with silvery white hair, identical to Sarah and Samantha's. "Thank you for fulfilling my wish," the boy, William, said, smiling sadly. "And I hope you have a happier life than what you lived, Jed." "But what about you, William?" Jed choked out, tears stinging his eyes. "Don't you want to be with your mother and sister?" "It's okay," William replied. "My time in this world is over, and there is no going back for me. I'm going to be with my father now. Please, watch over my family and consider them your family as well. Do not worry about me, and live your new life as freely as you can, and try to let go of your painful past." Tears streamed down Jed's cheeks as the crushing weight of William's sacrifice settled in. He held William's hand, a ghost of a touch. "Thank you, William," Jed managed. "I promise I will do the best that I can with the new life that you have given me." William smiled, a look of profound peace on his face. He turned and slowly walked away, his form fading like mist until the forest seemed to reclaim his soul entirely. Chapter 5: The Temple and the Blessing. Víðarr stepped closer, the crystal on her staff glowing brightly. "Jed, there are a few things we need to discuss before I send you back. The life you lived and the common sense that you've known will now be put into question." She then explained the fundamental shift in his reality. "There are things in this world that are unlike the earth you came from. It's based around magic, not science. The fundamentals of this world. Mana, technology, and electricity are replaced by magic tools and the omnipresent energy known as mana. Everything in this world possesses and can use mana. Magic circle. Humans can't use magic until they turn 10 years of age. That is when the magic circle is formed, and they gain the ability to manipulate the surrounding mana. Divine blessings. Humans also receive a blessing from the gods based on the deity they choose to worship. Since you are from a peaceful world without monsters, I'm going to give you some help," Víðarr declared, bestowing rare skills upon him. 1. Universal language. The ability to speak, write, and understand any language. 2. Monster sense. A powerful radar system. Jed must send out his mana, and when it touches another creature with mana, he will be able to sense its presence, like ripples on water. In the morning, you turn 10, so all these skills will be available to use. As far as using magic, you'll have to learn that on your own. Keep my blessing, and I hope you continue to live a happy life, Jed. If you want to talk to me again, come and visit me, and we can talk sometime. Farewell, and I'll be watching over you. With a graceful turn, Víðarr and the illusion of the silent grove dissolved, and Jed was back. He was now William, a 10-year-old boy in a world teeming with mana, magic, and monsters, carrying the weight of 2 lives and a promise to a dying soul. Jed, now William, opened his eyes to the familiar sight of the wooden ceiling. The quiet of the small room was pierced by a surge of adrenaline as the realization hit. It wasn't a dream. William was real. The life he'd been given was real, and the weight of his promise to the deceased boy felt both heavy and exhilarating. "Thank you again, William," he whispered silently. "I will gladly take your place." He pushed the abuse and solitude of his past life, Jed's life, firmly into the mental background. He stood up quickly, a groan escaping him as a sharp ache ran through his small arms and back. "Man, my arms hurt," he muttered, the immediate physical consequence of yesterday's wood chopping. The scent of cooking instantly drew him, a warm, inviting smell he'd rarely known, eggs and bacon. He walked to the doorway of his room. "You're up early, William," Samantha said warmly. "Your cooking woke me up," he replied, smiling. Samantha quickly left the pot she was stirring and walked over, giving William a sudden, fierce hug. William, initially startled by the genuine, casual affection, slowly leaned into the embrace, returning it warmly. "Happy birthday, son," Samantha said, beaming. "Today is the day you and your sister turn 10 and get your blessings." "What was your blessing, Mom?" William asked. "Amphitrite," Samantha replied. "The goddess of the sea." "Really? That's an odd blessing, considering where we are. Your mother wasn't born in this village, if you're wondering. Ah, that makes sense, William said. Have you ever thought about going back home? I have at times, but I didn't want to drag you and your sister away from your homes. I think we should plan a trip to your hometown soon, Mother. I don't know about that. There are other issues, Samantha said, her bright eyes clouding briefly. Oh, okay, William said, sensing the boundary. I guess you'll tell me when the time comes, Mother. Where do we go to get our blessings? A priest visits our village once a year to grant blessings to the children of age. He should have arrived this morning and is at the temple. Okay, William said. So when do we go? Let's eat breakfast first, and then we will go. After a hearty breakfast, they walked through the village toward the temple. It was simple, looking like any other house, but for a small sign above the door. Standing outside were Leo and a woman in her mid to late 30s with dark hair and hazel eyes, accompanied by 3 young children. Congratulations, boy. You get your blessings and become a man. Leo boomed, clapping William on the shoulder. William noted the comment. 10 years old is considered an adult here. Huh? They entered the temple. Inside, a few wooden pews faced a podium, behind which stood an altar with intricate carvings etched into its surface. William and Sarah, today you are 10 years old and will receive the God's blessings. Please step forward and accept whatever God finds you appealing. Sarah stepped onto the podium first. The priest began an incantation, and the carvings on the altar began to glow with a deep blue light. A stream of water circled Sarah, forming a continuous flow around her before settling on the back of her hand as a symbol of a wave. Sarah's eyes opened, a single tear falling down her face. Mother, she cried, rushing into a hug. I have the same blessing as you, Mother. That's amazing, Sarah, William said, genuinely happy for her. Now, William, it is your turn to step onto the altar. William walked forward, aware of the small crowd watching. The priest recited the incantation, and again, the altar's carvings glowed, but only for a second. The light vanished, and nothing changed. There was no water, no fire, no symbol. Whispers filled the room, a murmur of confusion and concern. This has never happened before. Then, the wooden doors of the temple slammed open with violent force. A figure filled the doorway, silhouetted against the bright mountain sun. Chapter 6, The God of the Forest. The figure who burst through the temple door was Víðarr, a creature of breathtaking, primal power and ancient grace. Víðarr stood tall and solemn, a profound balance of man and nature. His upper body was that of a strong, weathered man, broad-shouldered, with deep, dark amber eyes. Antlers rose majestically from his head, their tines etched with symbols. Below the waist, his form merged into that of a great stag, powerful and graceful, his hide a shimmer of brown and silver. He moved with an unnerving slowness, the very air in the temple seeming to still around him. No one spoke, paralyzed by fear of drawing his gaze. The silence in the room was absolute, replacing the confusion of William's failed blessing. Víðarr stopped before William. He held out his hand, and a twisted staff appeared. It looked like 2 snakes spiraling together into a single form. He lowered the staff until the crystalline tip touched William's forehead. A loud, thunderous voice, a sound that seemed to come from the deep earth itself, filled the small temple. William, I, Víðarr, the God of the forest, grant you my blessing. Your love of nature and the forest pleases me, and I want you to feel at ease in these woods. You will have the ability to control plants and the earth itself. Use this to protect yourself and the forest you held so dear. Thank you, William said, his voice quiet but steady. I will accept this blessing and hold it dear to me. Víðarr smiled, a slow, gentle curve of his lips. He then turned and walked silently out of the temple, the door closing gently behind him. The collective breath of the villagers was finally released in a rush of astonished murmurs. William looked down at his hands, expecting to see a crest like his sister Sarah's. There was nothing. Instead, He felt a strange, tingling sensation on his chest. He pulled his tunic aside and looked down. Etched into the skin over his heart were 3 runes, small symbols that glowed faintly before settling into the permanent marking of a birthmark, the symbol of the forest god. The failed blessing was no failure at all. It was merely a placeholder, a silence waiting for a greater, more powerful voice. William, the man who found his only comfort in the woods, had been found by the wood's own god. The small temple buzzed with an energy unlike any it had ever known. The sight of Víðarr, the primal forest god, appearing in person was an event that instantly etched itself into the village's history, and the quiet murmurs of astonishment filled the air. William made his way through the awestruck crowd to Sarah and Samantha. "What did he say to you, son?" Samantha asked, her voice still trembling slightly with awe. "You couldn't hear what he said?" William asked, testing his knowledge of the world's limitations. "No," she replied, shaking her head. "He was speaking the gods' language. Us mortals can't understand their language." My universal language skill must have kicked in automatically, William realized, grateful for Vinia's help. He quickly summarized the blessing, leaving out the parts that might sound too unusual. "He gave me a blessing to manipulate the plants and the earth." Samantha's eyes widened. "Wow, really? Plant magic? That's never been recorded before in history. This is the first time we have even seen that god." "Really?" William said, nodding to himself. No wonder everyone was so shocked. Sarah, meanwhile, was focused on the practical next steps. "So now that we have our magic circle and our blessings, what do we do now?" The priest, recovering his composure, approached them and handed each twin a small, plain book. The title on the spine read, "Basics of Magic." "These books will teach you the basics on how to manipulate the mana around you," the priest explained. "It's not really difficult to learn. It just takes practice to control it." "Thank you," William and Sarah chorused. The crowd was still clambering with conversation as William, Sarah, and Samantha started to leave the temple. Once everyone had finally left the room, the priest remained behind. The temple door closed, sealing the room in dim silence. From the back of the room, near the altar, a shadowy figure emerged. The figure was cloaked and moved without a sound. "This is an interesting development," the shadowy man said, his voice a low, gravelly whisper. "Indeed it is," the priest replied, his face now devoid of the benign piety he had shown the villagers. "Who would have thought a god would visit this village, and an unknown god at that? We will need to keep a close eye on the boy." The figure nodded, a cold resolve settling in the room. "The balance of power is shifting. We must know the strength of this forest god's champion. Report everything the boy does, priest. Everything." Chapter 7, Magic Practice. After receiving their books on basic magic, Sarah and William headed back to their house. As they walked, William immediately opened his book and began to examine the content. The core principle of using magic, the book explained, was entirely dependent on imagination. The process was simple. You had to first feel the mana that surrounded you, draw it close, visualize the mana taking shape, and then release. Sounds pretty simple, William thought, scanning the steps. "Let's try it," Sarah declared, stopping by an old wooden table where a bucket of water sat. She focused all her attention on the water. A few moments passed, and then, slowly, a thin stream of water began to rise from the bucket, hovering in the air. "I'm doing it, William," Sarah shouted, her voice tight with excited focus. The small stream rose higher, twisting and coiling above the bucket. But her excitement must have broken her concentration, because just as quickly as it had risen, the water twisted violently out of control and splashed everywhere, soaking Sarah and... "Way to go, Sarah," William said, wiping the water from his face with a laugh. "I bet you can't do any better, William," she shot back, though she was giggling at her own blunder. "Probably not, since no one knows plant magic, but they do know some earth magic." William walked outside to the small garden plot behind the house. He knelt down, resting his small hands on the damp, dark soil. He closed his eyes and tried to recall the simple instructions from the priest's book. Feel the mana, draw it close, visualize the result, and release. He focused his mind, envisioning a perfectly tilled row of ground ready for potato planting, the exact, precise image from his past life, where he had often grown vegetables out of necessity. He heard a low, shifting sound, like something being dragged heavily across the earth. When he opened his eyes, there was a perfectly tilled row, about a foot wide and several feet long, ready for planting. The loose, rich soil lay in a neat mound beside it. "That's amazing, William," Sarah shouted, racing out to examine the furrow. As expected of a forest god. I just have his blessing. I'm not the actual god," William corrected, feeling a profound sense of satisfaction. His power was real, and it worked. "I have an idea. Go grab some potato seeds, and let's plant them." Sarah dashed inside and quickly returned with a handful of seed potatoes. Samantha followed, her eyes wide with curiosity. William took a seed, knelt down, and placed it in the soil he had just prepared. In his mind, he reasoned that plant magic should work just like any other magic. If I can manipulate the earth, he thought, why can't I manipulate the life within the earth? He began pouring his mana and his absolute concentration into the small seed beneath the soil. He visualized the seed swelling, the roots sprouting, the tiny green shoot pushing up toward the sun, an accelerated time-lapse of growth. The ground shuddered slightly, and moments later, a tiny leaf appeared above the soil. Surprised, William stopped the flow of mana. "Oh wow, it worked. So you can grow any plant you want?" Sarah asked, bouncing with excitement. "Well, I can't make it grow out of thin air. I have to have a seed in the right environment," William explained. "It makes sense, though. I'm just speeding up what the mana in the plant wants to do naturally." Samantha, watching the demonstration, burst into proud laughter. "How did you do that, William?" "I visualized what a seed would do while it grew and poured my mana into the seed," he explained simply. "My son's a genius." "Ho, ho, ho," she said, pulling William into a delighted hug. All three giggled together. "I still have a ways to go and a lot of practice to control this power," William conceded, but his heart felt light. He had a family that loved him, and a new life where his affinity for the woods was not just an escape, but a divine power. "I have something for you," Samantha said as she walked into the house. Samantha walked into her bedroom and opened a wooden chest set into the floor. She pulled out a long sword in a plain leather scabbard. "This was your father's sword. This belonged to his father, and he wanted this passed down to you when you turned 10. She walked back and handed him the sword. The weight was lighter than Jed expected, perhaps a pound or two at most. Still, it was heavy enough to require effort for a boy his size to handle. "Thank you, Mother. I will treasure this," Jed promised, pulling the sword from its sheath. The blade was breathtaking. It was a pale, silvery white, almost transparent in the dim light, catching the firelight with a cold, clear brilliance. "This sword is made from mithril," Samantha said. "It's a very rare material. You must be careful with this blade, as it's extremely sharp." "Amazing," Jed breathed. Chapter 8, 5 Years of Growth. 5 years passed by in a flash. The young boy Jed, now fully William, had diligently dedicated himself to his new existence. He was now a lean, energetic 15-year-old, his eyes holding a depth of knowledge that belied his age. His life was structured and purposeful, practicing his skills, assisting his mother, and deepening his bond with Sarah. He was a constant source of wonder to the village, having mastered his plant and earth magic to aid in cultivation, often turning bare plots of land into thriving gardens overnight. His skill with his father's mithril sword had grown exponentially, his small, light frame now moving with a deadly, efficient speed that was more about technique than brute force. He was happy. He was safe. He was William. But the woods, while still a comfort, held new secrets. His monster sense, which he had kept a secret, had alerted him to things the village never saw. And a shadowy figure watching from the temple had not forgotten him. 5 years of growth and mastery. By the age of 15, William, the new soul inhabiting the old body, was no longer just an apprentice to his powers. He was a master craftsman of the earth. His diligence in practicing Víðarr's blessing had yielded astonishing results. His greatest accomplishment was the ability to materialize and shape his visions with perfect precision. If he needed a table, he would envision the object, and his mana would instantly pull minerals from the earth, solidifying and polishing the wood or stone into the final, ready-to-use form. He could manipulate and harden the earth to create stable foundations, strong walls, or even defensive earthen berms. Similarly, his control over plants extended far beyond simple growth. He could influence existing trees, quickly twisting branches into chairs, weaving root systems into baskets, or hardening wood into materials stronger than iron. The entire village benefited from his abilities. Their small, simple houses now had smooth, stable stone hearths and sturdy furniture crafted from magically hardened oak. The fields produced triple their normal yield, and William had even created an intricate, self-repairing fence of living, braided thornwood around the village perimeter, a testament to his twin gifts. William also dedicated himself to the sword. His teacher, Leo, was demanding and broke the art down into its vital, deadly components. In the first year, William was tethered to distance management and footwork. He learned to move like a ghost, controlling the precise measure between his body and an imaginary opponent. He practiced the smooth advance, the quick retreat, and the crucial sidestep that saved a man's life by taking him off the line of attack. He moved on to cuts and thrusts, drilling until the cuts were clean and true, his blade's edge biting the air exactly where he intended, and his thrusts were delivered with the speed of a striking viper. Defense came next. The crisp snap of a parry to deflect a blow and the subtle shift of an evasion to let a blade pass harmlessly inches from his body. Finally, Leo taught him the mental game, the timing and deception tactics. William learned to feign a high slash only to commit to a low thrust, to read the tension in Leo's grip, and to exploit the split second of weakness when an opponent shifted their weight. William was a natural, and the training paid off spectacularly. By the end of those 5 years, his proficiency with the sword was such that he could consistently hold his own against Leo in their sparring matches, pushing his teacher to use genuine effort. One afternoon, after a particularly fierce bout, William rested his blade on the ground, sweat stinging his eyes. "You know the sword so much, Leo," William asked, catching his breath. "Were you in the army?" Leo paused, his gaze fixed on the worn practice blade in his hand. "Something like that," he replied curtly, sheathing his sword and turning toward the training shed, clearly closing the topic. However, William's pride in his accomplishments was tempered by the growing dread signaled by his secret sense. Over the past 5 years, his monster sense had proven to be his most vital and most frightening skill. While the villagers lived in blissful ignorance, William's mana radar would occasionally pick up faint, distant ripples, the signatures of small, solitary monsters passing through the deep forest. But lately, the nature of these ripples had changed. They were no longer faint and infrequent. They were closer, stronger, and more numerous. His sense now regularly detected multiple signatures moving with a predatory slowness, encircling the village. The sense of danger was palpable, like a steadily tightening noose. The easy, peaceful life William had inherited and worked so hard to maintain was coming to an end. The monsters were no longer stray wanderers. They were a looming threat, drawn in by the flourishing life and relative defenselessness of the small settlement. The forest god's champion was about to be tested not by his ability to grow potatoes, but by his resolve to protect the family and the home he had been given. The quiet unease that had been simmering beneath William's skin for weeks finally boiled over. The density of the mana signatures he was picking up was undeniable. The threat was imminent. He couldn't afford the luxury of silence any longer. Chapter 9. A growing storm and tension. William walked into the center of the village, where a few elders and neighbors were gathered near the communal well. He took a deep breath and spoke, his voice clear and serious despite his young age. "We have to talk about the woods," he began. "I know it sounds strange, but I've been feeling an increase in monster activity. They're not just passing by. They're getting closer. We need to set up defenses or prepare to leave." The villagers exchanged skeptical glances. Old man Silas, a weathered farmer with a perpetually dry chuckle, waved a dismissive hand. "Monsters, William. You've been reading those adventure books too much. The beasts that hunt humans, they stick to the mountain passes and the deep, dark forests. They never come this far, not this close to the river." A woman chimed in. "Aye, the village has been here for 3 generations, and the most we've seen is a stray boar or 2. William felt a familiar, cold knot in his stomach, the same frustration he'd felt trying to warn his abusive aunt about anything. He looked at their placid faces, so utterly convinced of their safety, and a grim memory resurfaced. The ghost of William, the boy he replaced, killed by a monster the villagers claimed never came this far. But a monster did come this far, William insisted, his voice hardening slightly. It came close enough to kill William, the boy I am, he thought. His words, however, did little more than earn him sympathetic head shakes. They saw a bright, imaginative young man, not a champion with a radar for death. To them, the magic that tilled their soil was benevolent and useful. The suggestion of unseen danger was simply the flight of a boy's fantasy. Defeated but resolved, William abandoned the effort to convince the village. He knew he could not force them to believe him, but he could save the people who mattered most. He hurried back to his home, where Samantha and Sarah were preparing dinner. He shut the door and faced them, the maturity of his past life overriding the confidence of his present one. "Mom, Sarah, I need you to listen to me, and please don't argue." He began, his tone quiet and urgent. "What I said at the well is true. The woods are closing in. My magic, my blessing, it tells me where things are. There are more monsters than this village has ever seen, and they're moving towards us." He looked directly at Samantha, trying to convey the gravity of his warning with his eyes. "I know you trust the village traditions, but they are wrong. We can't wait for them to believe me." He laid out the terrifying choice. "I can't fight an army of monsters alone, and if they hit the village, we'll be trapped. I need to know if you want to leave. I can use my magic to secure supplies, and we can move deep into the mountains before the attack starts." He paused, his heart thumping. "If you leave, we'll be safe. If you stay, I will stay too. But I need to know your answer now." Samantha and Sarah exchanged a determined glance. Samantha stepped forward and placed a hand on William's cheek. "We believe you, son. Completely. What do you recommend we do?" "Since it's just us, I recommend leaving this place and going somewhere else," William said, feeling a wave of relief that his only family trusted him. "We could visit your hometown or go somewhere entirely new. To me, it doesn't matter where we go, as long as we're together." Samantha and Sarah nodded in agreement. "We can go to the nearby town and warn the guild and the lord," Samantha suggested. "At least they may be able to send aid and soldiers this way to investigate the forest." "Good idea, Mom," Sarah agreed. "Pack anything you want to keep," William instructed. "Food, housing, and new furniture. I can make all of those things, no problem." The family quickly packed their clothing and personal effects into a single wooden chest, which William swiftly stored in his item box. They left the magically crafted furniture behind. It was temporary, disposable. They were ready to leave, just as Leo walked up the path to their house, a somber look on his scarred face. "Are you 100% sure the monsters are gathering in the woods, William?" "Yes, Uncle. Why would I lie about that?" William replied, grateful that Leo was at least asking questions instead of dismissing him. "Okay, I believe you," Leo said, his voice heavy. "Will you do me a favor and take my wife and kids with you? I will try and convince the others to follow after." "Yes," William said, relieved that Leo and his family would be safe. "Of course." They stopped at Leo's house, where his wife and 3 young children already had their belongings packed, having trusted their father's instincts. "William,